For the case, we explored the working capital impact, potential obsolete inventory, capacity restraints, and risk scoring methodology. APU forecast suggested that there would be an increased inventory cost. Out of the 2009 SKUs provided in the data exhibit, 710 had obsolete inventory. That amounted to 35.34%. Thus, we believe that Glassworks should first focus on eliminating excessive obsolete inventory. Capacity at the Fabricados plant can meet demand with additional shifts or a redesigned line, but we suggest extra shifts to avoid capital expenditure. For our risk assessment, we focus on the final scorecard over any individual average. We created benchmarks to measure each company against.
The working capital impact was based on inventory usage and the cost of acquiring new inventory. So we made a model based on APU trends and then statistical information about demand, like the covariance of demand. We estimate that in Q4, the cost of inventory will weigh on working capital by $21 million, and then the minimum order cost will also increase by an average of $14,000 per SKU. However, these will be offset by eliminating obsolete SKUs to lean out the inventory and delivering on time to meet this new increase in demand. If we do all of that, working capital should still be pretty healthy.
Our team has used the insights gathered by the marketing team to predict the future demand of the various SKUs over the next year. After the SKUs expire, having an abundant amount of inventory would result in unnecessary costs for Glassworks. In order to calculate the forecasted demand for the next 4 quarters, each SKU's average monthly consumption was multiplied by 3 in order to determine the estimated consumption for the quarter, and then multiplied by the forecasted trend of the APUs. Then the predicted total consumption for the next 4 quarters was summed and compared to Glassworks' current on-hand stock. Out of all the SKUs provided in the data exhibit, 35.34% had obsolete inventory. Glassworks' main focus should be on SKUs with obsolete inventory over 10,000, which is demonstrated by the orange and green areas of the pie chart and represents 61.7% of the calculated obsolete inventory. While the ultimate goal would be to eliminate all obsolete inventory, it is important to consider variance and that the demand is solely based on forecasting.
The capacity constraints were based on a variety of factors in Exhibits 3 and 4. We made linear programming for each item, the vials, ampules, and syringes, and we made sets of constraints separately for each set of stations, such as tubing, washing, etc. We then used the work time cycles to calculate the amount of work days it would take to meet demand, and from there we worked off the assumption of 8-hour shifts and calculated how many shifts would need to be added per quarter, per station to meet all demand. We gave that in terms of percentage and then in also practical terms, such as adding 1 8-hour shift per week or adding an 8-hour shift every other day. So all of these were subject to demand and flow constraints. And like I said initially, we were not able to meet capacity, but by adding shifts, we can easily meet capacity. We could also reroute the flow of goods to improve capacity, but this could weigh on working capital further, which is a bad idea right now.
In addition to the financial and regulatory risk identified by the risk compliance manager, our team has identified the risk domain of reliability. At a glance, certain companies initially score well through the methodology due to their high performance in the financial domain. However, they are not up to par in other perspectives. Our team has decided to measure each company's performance against the average when applicable. Factors such as credit rating, on-time delivery, and data security were able to produce numerical averages. For the other factors, companies had to possess positive attributes such as not being a single source or having no environmental incidents or labor unrest. Companies were then labeled low, medium, high, or extremely high risk based on the amount of times they fell below average. From our research and analysis, our team has concluded that the cost of inventory will increase by $20,050,830. Glassworks should first focus on eliminating excessive obsolete inventory to comply with the uncertainty of forecasting. Overtime shifts should be added in order to increase capacity, and the financial success of a company doesn't indicate reliability, and therefore multiple criteria should be used to analyze the suppliers. Thank you.